I think what made it unique in the past was there was so many bands, and they were very talented bands. 10 years ago, there was tons of bands, and there was a lot of them that were making headway. Right now, I think it's because of some of the problems I've already stated, we've all had to cut back on our acts, cut back on lighting, say. I think there's still a lot of songwriters here. I know there's a lot of different types of talent. Folk music, I think, is kind of coming back in Milwaukee. I see a lot of individuals that played in bands going out and playing in clubs by themselves or with a duo or something like that. I think that's healthy, because you're going to get good songs out of that. The year of the old hard rock and roll touring bands is like a dinosaur. It's going to be extinct.
People really should look twice at the music scene that's happening in Milwaukee and the bands that are being a lot more successful, such as Louie Nelson, the Hispanic Boys of Odines, and I have to say to Kreuzen too. I think people being in the hometown where these bands originate, they don't realize what they have, because it's so easy for them to see these bands locally. They see them all the time. They saw them grow from smaller acts to larger acts, and to them it's not really that much of a difference. If they were in a different city like New York or Atlanta or LA, they would be able to see it from more of an objective perspective. I think that what the Midwest has that the East and West Coast don't have is kind of a soul in the music, and that can be in anything from country roots to heavier rock. The Kreuzen's got an awful lot of soul in their music, but they don't sound a whole lot like the heavier metal bands coming out of LA. Up-and-coming bands, like I said before, Wild Kingdom, Wobble Test, Blue Room, the Blow Pops, that have gained a lot of attention even out of town. And there is a certain identity that's in Milwaukee. It's a very soulful kind of music that comes out of Milwaukee. And I think the problem is people see these bands so much that they don't realize it.
Milwaukee fans are different than any other fans, and local musicians will tell you this, and national musicians will tell you this too. People in clubs in Chicago might be like this at the end of a set. People at clubs in Milwaukee are standing on their chairs with their fists in the air screaming. That's the difference between Milwaukee and a lot of other cities. I think people in Milwaukee, well, it sounds so trite now, but party harder, and I think if they find something that they like, they love it, and they get behind it, and they support it.
Well, what I think really sets Milwaukee fans, apart from anyone else anywhere, is probably the fact that they are our friends.
I would say the role that most of the patrons fill is definitely an inspirational role, because so many times you'll see some of the same followers from week to week to week, and those are the people you really play for and you play to because they've heard you, and if you're not as good one night, they'll let you know.
Well, the roles the fans and the patrons play to the show is the most essential part of the show, because they are the catalyst for the show. They're the foundation for the show. They are the purpose of the show is for that conveyance. They carry a large part of it. A lot of people think that the whole success thing in music it depends on record sales and so forth, but it depends a lot on how people convey their opinion or their likes about your performance or your music. So the audience is the main part of the whole structure of music.
I would say right now, Milwaukee people are not coming out. For that, I say that for a lot of reasons. Some of which I probably shouldn't even talk about, but the higher drinking age, the drunken driving laws, weather conditions, for instance, this year has not been good. But the support just has not been there in the last couple of years, I'd have to say.
Well, I think basically the reason for somewhat of a down in the places anyway is you lost that 18 to 21 crowd, which are are very avid music listeners. Okay, once you get into the 21 and over 21, I think prior what happened there is that you saw like a lot of people more going for the networking and that kind of thing, and it's not real conducive to music.
If there was some sort of an all-age scene that was constantly happening, there I think it would be a lot stronger scene because the kids are where it's at. It's not with the drinking age or anything.
Everybody's old enough to drink, and I think that has a lot to do with the way shows are received by people. If everybody's drinking, that takes up a big part of their evening, whereas when you have all ages shows, the kids are only there for one reason, and that's to dig on the music.
There's a huge number of talented people in town, and nobody wants to come see them. They're satisfied with going to see a 50s and 60s band than hearing some original ideas. I think that the largest audiences that original bands in Milwaukee have is members of other original bands. They are trying to support each other, and it's just not enough.
Well, I know one thing that would change the Milwaukee music scene, and it'd be to change all the music directors. No, I kind of do mean that because in the past, the music directors at the stations were a heck of a lot more liberal to local music and playing them in prime time, which in turn helped the club scene. I mean, it helped everything here, the economy. People would then come out. I think that's one thing that would do it. And I don't think it's that difficult.
As a Milwaukee radio station, it is our responsibility to in some way be involved in the local music scene and support the local music scene. Home Cook and Lazer Local Licks is a 1-hour show. It airs every Sunday night around about 12:30. It's Sunday nights at 12:30, and it's 1 hour of local music. Music being the key word here. A lot of rock and roll, because that's what I get a lot of, and the general consensus of the audience is that's what they want to hear. But one of the great things about the show and the people I work for is I'm not restricted formatically with the show in any way at all. I'm able to play jazz, I'm able to play R&B, I've played everything from some of Daryl Sturmer's real light stuff and Oceans to Capitol Drive and some of the real funky tracks from Big Bang Theory. And the show's goal is I'm surfacing two audiences, I think. Number one, the people who like local music and like to be able to hear it on the radio and like to be able to get some of the gossipy tidbits about, oh, did you hear Freudian Slip's got a new guitar player now, his name is Eric, he's from LA. There's a lot of people like to hear things like that, and I try to take it upon myself to keep up on the scene, so to speak, so I can pass on some of that information, who's in the studio, who's breaking up, who's back together. And the other purpose of the show, and this is the one that I think that I personally try and focus on a little bit more when I'm doing the show, is every Sunday night there's going to be a few people listening to Home Cook and Lazer Local Licks who've never heard it before, who don't know, Problem Child from Swine Man. And my job is to be able to present the local music to them in a way to be able to pique some interest, to play the good music, and I pretty much play everything I get, but I like to think that I pretty much stick to the things that have been produced pretty good so that they sound good once they're on the air, so that it might mean a couple more people in the clubs next week. It might mean a few calls during the week saying, hey, I'd like to go out and buy that a tape that I heard. Could you tell me who sings the song Bleach Blonde Buddhist? I heard it on your show Sunday night. Well, good, that means somebody's going to go out and get that tape, and then maybe somebody's going to go out and actually listen to that band. So as much as I care about the diehard fans who I know are listening, what I really want to do is just in general generate more interest in local music.
I'm Steve Grimm, presently with the Steve Grimm Band. I've been with this band for 2.5 years. Prior to that, I was in a band called Bad Boy, which was a pretty big band in Milwaukee for about 10 years. Did a lot of traveling, made a lot of money, made a lot of friends. And prior to that, I was in a band called Crossfire. And that I started in Boston, where I went to school.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to rock. Please welcome the legendary Steve Grimm Band.
She got a
I like to think I'm an optimist in that respect. I think live music is going to come back because you can't replace it. I grew up to live music, listening to blues. Muddy Waters was like a hero to me, and the Beatles came along. They were heroes to me. I'd go out and I'd see local acts just to see what they were doing. Kids don't seem to have that on their mind. I think it's more of a sports-minded type of kid today, a health-minded type of kid today, and sometimes the clubs are not the healthiest type of atmospheres. You know, there's all kinds of weirdos, but I think that's what's fascinating about playing in clubs. There's always something to see. Strange people, beautiful people. It's like going to the circus.
My name is Steve Jamalski, and I'm from Men Among Thieves and Steve's Without Thieves. Steve's Without Thieves is mostly an acoustic project that we do.
Steve Thornton, Men Among Thieves, Steve's Without Thieves. Sit in with as many people as I can, play as much as I can, all day, every day. It's my life.
Okay, a lot of our material we'll put out, we'll play acoustically as well, because that's how we write a lot of our material. And sometimes when we're writing this stuff, you know, and we'll come up with a song, sometimes that energy is like right there, writing it on the acoustics is so like potentially there, and we can feel it, and we like to, you know, relay that when we play, and so we play acoustic shows live, and a lot of the times the crowd, you know, receives it just as well as if we were, you know, plugged in and, you know, rocking out.
You know I can't recall the last time I had a drink with you. Every now and then seems like forever, but you know it's all pretend. Whoa! Walls are crashing down around us, everywhere we think we are, you know, it's over. And all the things you do and say about it, it's alright, it's over. It's all over, yeah. It's all
Operation Onslaught was a total surprise to us when we won. I mean, we didn't expect it. We went and gave it our 100%, and we could tell on the stage and also by the reaction of the crowd. We had support out there, and what our manager Ron Schneider, he did a lot of help for it too. He handed out, you know, flyers and stuff saying get your butts down there and support these guys, and they were out there, and we were totally surprised because there were a lot of bands that worked hard for that, and that were, many people thought were more, I don't know what you'd say, apt to the opening for Slaughter, a band like Slaughter, which is, you know, I mean, the power is there and the energy is there, but it's not completely our forte.
A lot of people from the east side of Milwaukee really turned out to support us for that, and we really appreciate it. You know, we've been trying to let everybody know, because I don't think we could have won without them. It seems like the east side scene is a lot more tight-knit than the rest of the city, and the people really stick together. We had a lot of people there that really screamed for us, and I think that pushed it over.
Well, when I'm playing, whether solo or with a band, I usually translate a lot of my conveyance to the audience or to the performance to photographs in my mind or thoughts or images that are positive to me to help stimulate me performing.
Lost in corners, 'cause you can't get things straight. If you need a friend, don't call me, 'cause I'm already on the way. I'm always on your side. Always on your Borrow a cup of sugar when things are not so sweet. Keep an extra smile in your pocket. You might find yourself in need. Gather around good people when I call the blues. If your friends can't help you in trying situations, who else can you turn to? I'm always on your side. I'm always on your
From the recording standpoint, everybody needs a demo today. You know, some bands, depending upon what market you're in, need a video demo. You have to go through this process. The only way people will take you seriously, you have to at least make this attempt. From a band standpoint, from a business standpoint, I'd say that is very critical. You know, as a production company, if I'm looking at a band or I'm looking at an artist or whatever, I'm looking for somebody, and I'd say this is not uncommon for an independent label or even a major, That you conduct your band business in a professional manner. You show up to gigs on time. You don't back out of gigs at the last minute. You conduct your personal business in a professional way. One of the worst things you can do, particularly in this town, is get a bad business rep, okay? Because it takes you, if it takes maybe a couple gigs that you canceled out of, it takes you 15, 20 to get back in grace. So you shouldn't discount the importance of conducting your business well, and that's basically, the things beyond performance.
The advice I could give new bands is to thoroughly search yourself and see whether you're willing to make a commitment. I've been doing this for 20 years, and it has not always been pleasant. There's been a lot of struggling. You're an artist, so you kind of have to expect some rejection. Rejection is a big part of this business, because you could send 1 million tapes of the greatest song, and unless it landed in the right hands, it's not going to go anyplace. Timing is important. Management can be important. It's a whole network of people that you need to work with you, the management, the record company, the band itself, which can have its own chemistry problems. So it's an involved web that you have to kind of untangle and make sure that you want to make that kind of commitment. I can't see that front. Hi, I'm Steve Grimm.
And we're the Steve Grimm Band.
Catch us on the hometown music scene, April 13th, Student Operations 91.
That was good.
I feel rock and roll will never die.
Hi, I'm Steve Grimm.
And we're the Steve Grimm Band.
Catch us on the hometown music scene, April 13th, Student Operations 91. Gonna do it again.
Take lots of LSD up in your mind, because this is the night.
We can't say this on post.
No, we can't say that. Cut that.
You guys have a lot of editing to do, I know.
Oh, we can't say that. Cut that.
Well, for the people who come out and still support the local scene, please don't stop, and the people who don't, please start.
What's running through your mind?
Pictures.
Stop playing Boston on the radio.